Look, there's no talking around it. Most recent Condor releases from Herpa Wings have been mediocre at best. But what about this little fella? Might this little aircraft be able to do it just a little bit better? That is what we want to find out, and we can do so thanks to our partner here on the channel, Jumbolina Model, who have nice models at reasonable prices with great service. So I can recommend them to you. You can find a link to them in the video description below. With that, hello and welcome to a new episode of Review, where today we'll take a closer look at an Airbus A320NEO of Condor. At the front of the box we have a cutout so we can get a glimpse of the aircraft model inside, and on top of the box we have the Condor branding. Now, Herpa nowadays really does not care much about their products, and it really shows also how they represent their models in these really lackluster boxes. The only thing worth noting here is that this is an officially licensed product, contrary to the story that Herpa tells their customers, where many of their products actually aren't licensed. And here she is, the Airbus A320NEO in one of the many standard liveries of Condor, of course all of them being striped, but then with different colors. And if I am to believe what is written on the box, this is the Passion livery. Well, I guess red, yeah, passion, okay, whatever. This is all marketing talk. Whether you like the livery or not, I personally still don't, but doesn't matter. What matters is what the model offers collectors, because if we are to spend our money and time with these models, they better be worth it. So let's find out if Herpa has been doing better with this, unlike with so many of the other Condor models they have released recently. And so we start with a look at the tail of the aircraft, where we on the vertical stabilizer find the Condor branding. Underneath that, the year of the founding of the airline. Above it, we also find the flag of Germany. On the fuselage, well, what do we find here? We find the full registration code of the aircraft, and that's about it. We could, of course, have had maybe a little bit more detailing in the cabin door, but not so with Herpa Wings, not even in 2025. What we do get is a little bit of detailing around the APU exhaust. What a relief. Now, if we follow all these red and white stripes all the way to the front of the aircraft, we do then find again the Condor branding. We have a few static ports or hatches here. That is definitely nice to see on the aircraft model. Next to the cabin door, we again have the Condor logo. And then we have another static port just underneath the cockpit windows, leaving us with a look at the cockpit section itself, which well comprises of the cockpit windows with the neo black mask and the window wipers. But apart from the before mentioned static port, that is the amount of detailing you can expect on a Herpa Wings model in 2025. So no need to spend more time on that. Let's move on to the engines, where we can see the engine nacelles have been kept in all white, just as I guess half of the aircraft. We do find the silver leading edge printed on. We have the Condor logo once again and the safety markings printed on. That is overall, I think, all right. Of course, there's still room for improvement, but fair enough for now. The physical detailing of these engines, I think, is just fine. I don't really have any issues with that. Looking nice also here from the front, where we can see the engine fan blades. Now, on the fuselage, just above the wings, we have the emergency exits printed on, leading us straight to the wings, which we should definitely also take a closer look at. Starting off with the top side, where we have the different flap slats and spoilers carved out very nicely. We have some different shades of grey for additional detailing, and we have the markings for the emergency exit. Good news here, so aligned with the emergency exits. Not always the case. The underside of the wings has more nice physical detailing, and then the Airbus A320NEO, of course, has these lovely winglets, which has the Condor branding on one side and the red and white stripes on the other side. Unfortunately, Herpa is very inconsistent with their winglets on the A320 family, so you do need to check them individually for each model. In this case, on this side, I think that's fine. The other side, pretty much the same, so in this case, we are in luck. Now, the landing gear, that is the standard landing gear that Herpa uses for all their Airbus A320 family aircraft models. This is a nice thing for the main landing gear, which I think looks fine, but unfortunately the front landing gear is of course massively oversized. A long-lasting issue with Herpa Wings that they just don't seem to care to fix. Also, we don't get any printed details, which of course is a disappointment. Also a disappointment is the fact that we still have a hole in the fuselage on the belly of the aircraft for a stand that is not included with this aircraft model. In this case, however, it doesn't destroy any printed details, so I can definitely live with this. A detail that I can also live with is the fact that we do have a D-ANCZ dome on this aircraft model, and although Herpa is very inconsistent with those as well, in this case placement and size seems to be pretty much on point. So yeah, very well done in this case, Herpa Wings. This is how it should always be. And what there should also always be is, of course, the doors to the cargo compartments, and they have also been printed on in this case, here at the back of the aircraft and also here at the front of the aircraft. So there we have it, the Airbus A320NEO in the current standard livery, the Red Passion standard livery of Condor in scale 1:500 from Herpa Wings. And what can we say about this aircraft model? Look, apart from Herpa's pretty exuberant retail price, which is way too high for a model like this, I'm actually surprised by it. I mean, of course, we still have some of the usual issues. We still have the oversized front landing gear. The angle of the wings is, of course, still way too flat. As I said, the price is too high. We don't have enough printed details for the price. But for example, the cockpit shape actually, I guess, helped by the red and white stripes and the placement of the cockpit windows. But it's not the worst I have seen, honestly speaking. So yeah, that is actually quite all right. And what I'm also surprised about here is that, I mean, the colors seem to be pretty much on point, which is definitely not the case with all of the Condor models from Herpa Wings. And yeah, if we are looking for print lines, which is also something that many of the Condor models from Herpa Wings have been heavily suffering from, well, we actually have to look very closely to be able to find them. Yes, they are, of course, still there, but we actually have to turn around the model and look at the belly of the aircraft. This is where we will find print lines, but they are not super visible. And the fact that they are on the belly of the aircraft make them much, much better digestible for me, because this is not a place where you will really see them when you have your model. So overall, surprisingly good work from Herpa on this model, making me question even the more why they're not able to do this with all the Condor models. Why do we have to have really all 4 Condor models when you are able to do something like this? Is it perfect? No, of course not. As I said, there are plenty of issues to be found here, but all of them are digestible. This is an acceptable level. Not for the price, still, that is way too high, but if we disregard the price for the moment, just look at the model, then yeah, this is an acceptable scale 500 aircraft model. Plenty of areas with room for improvement, but for sure something we can work with. If you were just doing this every time, Herpa Wings, I think people wouldn't be quite as frustrated with you. So honestly, when I took this model out of the box, I wasn't expecting half of what I was receiving here. So are you just as surprised about this as I am? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. And with that, we have reached the end of today's episode. If you have enjoyed this video, then feel free to leave a like. If you are new around here, why not hit subscribe? And with that, thanks so much for watching. Hope to see you soon again. I'm checking out, and bye.